Hi, I'm Georgina. I'm originally from Wiltshire and I now live in London with my lovely partner and two small people.
I can still do a cartwheel at the age of 28.
I once walked 100 miles of Hadrian's Wall in heels for charity. I've convinced my 4-year-old to call me Super Mummy because I'm learning how to fly. I once fought off a mugger in KFC Leicester Square whilst 8 months pregnant. I'm predominantly left-handed, but I can also write with my right.
Why do you want to become a pilot?
Well, I've heard a lot of people answer this question before, and it usually goes along the lines of, well, I've always wanted to be a pilot. But for me, that simply wasn't true. Bizarrely, despite doing traditional STEM subjects for my A-levels, despite being lucky enough to get a couple of hours in a helicopter as a teenager and loving every second, and despite finding every opportunity within my adult life to get on a plane, the idea simply didn't occur to me. It wasn't so much that I doubted my ability to do it, but more that the possibility just didn't register. I've since seen surveys saying that most men had their heart set on an aviation career by the age of 11, but few women before 16. And honestly, I can see why. It wasn't until I met a dad at the nursery gates that the idea really took hold of me. I was pregnant with my daughter, working long hours in the city and worrying a little about whether I'd be able to make my career work with two small children, marvelling at this dad, a 777 captain, who seemed to make drop-off more often than he didn't. We got talking and I was incredibly enthusiastic, and he couldn't believe that it hadn't appeared on my radar before. I booked a test flight and within a few months I was doing the Generation EasyJet assessments with CAE. I want to be a fantastic role model for my kids, particularly my daughter, as we live in an area where a lot of women give up their careers as soon as they become mothers. I quite literally want to show them the world, and I'm willing to work harder than anybody else to make that dream a reality. Although I know this is going to be a huge challenge, I've worked incredibly hard over the past year to make it so that this is even a viable option, and I've never been more passionate about anything in my life.
What is your favourite hobby?
I love exploring the many museums that London has to offer with the children. I try and take them to a new museum every week, the Science Museum being our obvious favourite. So, let me show you around a little bit in this video.
Who is your favourite female pilot influencer on social media? Why? And what do you like about her content?
I follow quite a few female and male pilots on Instagram, and I also follow the CAE account. In fact, I'm particularly enjoying the story takeovers at the moment. My favourite is maybe a slightly less known account called pilot_Magnon. She's a Dutch first officer flying a 787 for British Airways. And the thing I like about her content is that she has stuck very much to aviation and hasn't drifted maybe into the more lifestyle side of things that some of the bigger Instagram accounts have. Her comments are really informative, and I think it's a genuine representation of the day-to-day life of a female pilot. I thoroughly recommend having a look, and yeah, I hope you like it.
How do you feel knowing that only 5% of pilots are women?
The truly sad part about this statistic is that it really isn't very surprising. There is such an obvious imbalance that has existed for such a long time that everybody is growing to accept it. I've read a lot of accounts from female pilots about their experience of work, and it seems that almost without exception, they've all experienced some form of negative comment from passengers, be it, "Where is the captain?" to, "Oh, that was a good landing." What really struck me was that although most said their male colleagues didn't treat them any differently, the real problem was public perception. Most seem fairly hell-bent on changing that by simply making it less unusual to see a woman in the cockpit. I've seen the EasyJet advert where the female captain speaks to children in schools and asks them to guess her role. I've seen the excellent remake of the Catch Me If You Can scene trying to change perceptions. And I've seen the Women in Flight panel at Farnborough Air Show. For me, the very existence of initiatives such as the Amy Johnson and these CAE scholarships implies that this imbalance may be about to change. As I've said, I didn't pursue a career in aviation beforehand because it simply didn't occur to me that I could. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about what this scholarship means to me.
What does this scholarship mean to you? Tell us more about why we should give you this scholarship.
So firstly, and most obviously, the financial benefit of this scholarship is huge, beyond huge. For me, it's the difference between being able to take up the amazing opportunity that comes with having passed the Generation EasyJet assessments and simply not being able to. Shortly after getting the phone call from Marcus, I contacted Captain Marnie Munns, having read her interview in The Guardian, and she invited me to a coffee at the base in Luton. Aside from reassuring me that this is absolutely a career that you can have with kids in tow, and generally being a huge inspiration, What really struck me was her point about how difficult it was actually getting girls and women through the door and submitting an application to the airline. The obstacles, particularly financial, have increased, just as the visibility of the job has decreased. Post 9/11, the cockpit door is now firmly closed, which means that little girls and boys may only ever hear their captain speaking. The perceptions around the job still seem to be that it isn't very compatible with a family life. Not only this, but before you even start, you're having to put up a huge financial commitment. I have tried to take absolutely every opportunity to ensure that this is the right career path for me. I have gone to open days, attended career events, contacted female pilots, especially mothers, and arranged to chat, researched training options, read everything that I get my hands on about not only life as a pilot, but also the realities of the training. Sat in on a BA pre-flight briefing in Heathrow, had a tour of the EasyJet offices in Luton, and met EasyJet pilots working out of Gatwick. I feel that I can 100% make this work, and not only fulfill my dream to become a pilot, but also a role model to my daughter. I want to give back to future generations the huge generosity that I've experienced. I want to mentor young girls in particular and fight the stereotypes around working mothers. This scholarship, as well as being the only way to make this dream financially viable, is also a huge platform to further the visibility of women within aviation. I feel I would give everything, not only to the training journey, but also the additional role of being an ambassador for the programme.
What does taking on the role of ambassador for this programme mean to you?
In short, it means everything. When I told somebody close to me that I had passed the assessments for Generation EasyJet at CAE, his response floored me. He said, "That doesn't seem like a mummy job, and have you considered aromatherapy?" For me, that now forms a huge part of why I want to do this, so that nobody ever says that to mine or anyone else's little girl.
In an ideal world, what would you like to do as a community or charity project, if money and time were no object?
I love spending time with children, and in the past I've volunteered with both Year 7 students with learning difficulties, as well as disadvantaged 17 and 18-year-olds looking at asset management internships and trying to get them settled. I would love to expand upon this and get involved with speaking to girls not only about the opportunities within aviation, but also within the wider STEM fields. I read about the introduction of a Brownies aviation badge, and I feel there is more opportunity to expand upon this. King's College London are hosting a coding event for Brownies this term, and I think that's something that could easily be done in conjunction with CAE and or EasyJet, organising tours of an airfield and getting girls through the door at a much younger age. Girls this age love a competition. It could be something as simple as a paper aeroplane making competition, or even building the best plane out of Lego. Effectively opening the cockpit door and giving girls the chance to see where real pilots train would make this career seem like a realistic option and hopefully get them interested in a much earlier age. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope that you enjoyed it.